this not why you are here?
Greetings to everyone watching live and everyone watching after the fact. Shout out to the faithful and salute to the patrons. This is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, here to bring you all finally the official April 2022 live monthly Q&A. How is everybody doing out there tonight? All right, guys. So now, finally here. Sorry. You guys know I'm not going to start the show on time. Y'all already know how this works, right? I'm always a few minutes behind, but guess what? I'm always here. Anyway, tonight, guys, we are going to do this like we always do it with the live monthly Q&A. I'm going to be go ahead taking your questions and your comments, talking about what you guys want to talk about for this evening. Of course, I'm going to get through as many as I can with the amount of time I have allotted. But if you absolutely positively want to make sure your question or comment gets read live right here on the air before the end of tonight's broadcast, you can always drop a super chat. Those are always appreciated. With that being said, it's finally going down tonight, guys. Tonight is going to be the Drunken Karaoke Night private stream that's going to be held following tonight's show. That's why tonight we're only going to be on doing this thing for an hour. We're only doing this thing for an hour tonight because we got the live. Well, I'm sorry, it's not live. It's going to be pre-recorded actually, but it will be a private hangout. It will be a private broadcast, just like what you guys see right here. We just won't be streaming it live. We'll be recording it, but that is going to be following tonight. And that brings me to the super chat goal for this evening. It is the same as last week's pop-up Q&A super chat goal. What I'm going to be doing tonight, we got 6 spots. We got 6 spots left in the studio for the recording of the Drunken Karaoke Night. For $20 or more super chat, you can not only will you get an invite to join in on that recording, but you'll also get to request a song for me to do for the live Drunken Karaoke. Once again, $20 super chat or more. Not only do you get a spot in the Drunken Karaoke Night, but you also get to request a song for Drunken Karaoke Night, and that's going to be following this show. So that's pretty much, So that's what we're doing tonight, y'all. That's what we're doing tonight. Also, to all of my patrons at the $10 tier or higher, if you guys are watching, I sent the link to join in on this one because, of course, you become a patron at the $10 tier or higher, you get an invite to join in on this broadcast every month. So patrons, check your inboxes for that invite. I also shot this over to some of my homeboys, some of my fellow YouTube collaborators on the group chat. So if any of you guys are watching, check the group chat on Facebook. The link is in there. Feel free to hop on. But like I said, we just going to kick it for the next hour. I'm going to be kicking it with you guys. I see my man Kari McDonald's in the building. I see Adam Q's in the building. Walter Tank is in the building. So guys, go ahead, start bringing your questions in. I'm going to kick this thing off because I actually got a couple of stories just like we did with the pop-up Q&A, because like I said, I'm trying out this new format. I already got some stories prepared for you guys. So while the questions are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. The big story for tonight, and I didn't want it to be the title of the show, whatnot. I didn't want to start things off on a downer, but we did get some news yesterday that shook the comic book world. Definitely shook the comic book world. And that is that again, we have we lost another one of our OGs, man. Yesterday. Now I gotta say the late great Neal Adams passed away. News came down the wire yesterday. So for those of you all who don't know, Neal Adams, prolific comic book artist, one of the veterans of the industry, definitely one of the veterans of DC Comics. If you've been fortunate enough to read a comic from the late 70s throughout most of the 80s, if it was a Batman comic, chances are it was Neal Adams who drew it. Because he was the Batman artist of that period. For what is considered the Silver Age of comics, which is the 70s going into like the mid to late 80s, because the Bronze Age starts about like late 80s, right? Well, he was the primary and prolific Batman artist of the Silver Age for the bulk of that time. He's also responsible for that legendary, him and his writing partner, Neal, who we lost around this time last year. They also had that prolific, that seminal Green Arrow, Green Lantern run, which pretty much like that was the run that pretty much brought Green Arrow back into the main stage in terms of comics and DC Comics, but comics in general. Like by then, Green Arrow had kind of fallen off. That was the series that brought him back, to popularity. And then of course that was one of the crucial runs that expanded upon the character of Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. We definitely lost another titan in the comic book industry, definitely, with the passing of Neal Adams. I will say he is one of the creators I was actually fortunate enough to meet very briefly. I've shared this story before, but I'll share it real quick again. Only met him once. It was the final day of the 2012 New Orleans Comic-Con, where I was there. And when I was there for, OAW comics and whatnot, promoting totems, selling totems and whatnot, because the book had just come out, and we were back in the artist alley. And so I didn't really get a chance to like take in the festivities of the show and whatnot, but I knew Neal Adams was there, but I didn't get a chance to, check out the booths and whatnot. So it's Sunday afternoon. We're packing up, me and my cousin. We're packing up. We're going out the main entrance, and I saw Neal Adams. Like I forget what I looked back for. I think I was looking back for one of my little cousins or something. But I saw Neal Adams, and he was talking to this young lady, and so I was like, dude, like we're already getting ready to leave the building. I said, no, screw that. I mean, he's right there, right? So I just walked right up to him. I did interrupt their conversation, and I did apologize for that. I did interrupt their conversation, but I remember talking to him. I remember the way he looked at me, because he looked at me as if, for lack of a better way of saying it, he looked at me as if I was someone important, like important to him, like I was someone that he was like I was like an interviewee, someone who's going to interview him, or I was, someone who was there to conduct business with him or something like that. But so he looked at me as if he was anticipating, something. And then, but I told him, I said, no, my name's Larry Williams. I'm a comic creator. I had a booth in the back in the artist alley, over by the photo booths, whatever. It's like, I saw you. I just wanted to come over, shake your hand, tell you how much I appreciate your work and how much I look up to you and the work you've done. And he was like, and then that's when it kind of snapped back to him that he was meeting a fan. So then he was kind of like, oh yeah, thank you, appreciate that, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna take up none of your time. I know you're busy. I got to get out of here myself, but yes, just appreciate your work. And then I left, and that was it, But yeah, Neal Adams was definitely one of the veterans, one of the OGs of the industry. His reach was greater, even, it wasn't just within the page, it was greater even outside with the industry as a whole. He was one of the early mentors to Frank Miller, and we all know what happened with Frank once his career took off. Because Frank's one of the creators that completely Frank became one of the anchors of the Bronze Age. So in many ways, the way that Neal was, one of the anchors during the Silver Age, one of his proteges, Miller, ended up picking up the torch in the Bronze Age. So there's that. And then also, so granted, part of it had to do with the fact that my Green Lantern shirt was dirty. The other part of it had to do with another thing I remember that Neal Adams was prolific in and prolific for. He was at the head of the charge, head of the pack. He was one of the industry leaders that fought for the creator rights to be restored to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the creators of Superman. He was one of the guys that was working in the industry at the time that went to bat for Siegel and Schuster, because Siegel and Schuster had already been out of the industry for a minute, at this time. They had been gone for a while. And by this point, Neal was already one of the big dogs in the company. So he got behind their petition, of course, with the whole, the royalties and the money and things like that didn't get settled until like decades later. But he fought for their byline to be restored, which is why every time you see Superman, whenever you see Superman in anything and they have to credit it, because of course it's a DC trademark, underneath it always says created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. And one of the reasons that was because of Neal Adams, because he was the one that was like, no, these guys helped build this company. You're going to do right by these guys. And it's like, y'all got the issues, with the money and stuff like that. And you know what? We can settle that. But you guys got to at least be willing to come to the table and sit down with these guys. Like they are the DC family. We need to take care of them. Those are our guys. They're not just no random Joes. Those are our guys, he went to bat for him and made sure that their byline got restored. He did make, because they were paid royalties at the time, because this was around the time of Superman the movie. This was in the early 70s, because Superman the movie was in production at the time. And Superman the movie, the Richard Donner film with Christopher Reeve, that was the first time that Siegel and Schuster's byline actually appeared. That was the first product that their byline appeared on. So and of course, they did initially get royalties, back then. But of course, for those of you all who remember, the big hearing back up, what was it, 2012, I believe it was, when the Schuster family finally did get that really big, royalty payout and whatnot. But anyway, but like I said, man, Neal Adams, dude, that's one of our guys. That's one of our guys. That's one of us, and we lost another one. So I wanted to start the show off by, giving that big salute to the OG, Neal Adams. Represent. Represent. Our legends are dying, man. Our legends are dying. They're leaving us, man. They're leaving us. So let's appreciate them and give them their flowers while they're still here. Let's make sure we do that. All right. So that was the first story of the evening. I got two more here. Actually, one of them I meant to discuss in the last Q&A, but I'll get to that. I'll be sure to, actually, I might end up talking about that one next. But I'm seeing that we are getting some comments in now, and StreamYard finally fixed itself with the comments, because the comment module been acting real funny on StreamYard. But okay, so first off, first question tonight. Oh, actually, let me go ahead and change this. Put it back to the first question tonight. Comes from a man, Adam Q. He says, if you don't mind me asking, what happened to the CB&J podcast and Jujutsu Kaisen episodes? I think he means the manga chapter reviews that were on the channel. So that was something that me and Wayne, Cold Blooded, that was something we were trying out on the channel. We just went ahead and decided that because of what I'm getting ready to do with the channel, it wasn't the right fit right now. So those videos are actually going to be on Cold Blooded's channel. So go ahead, pop over to his channel. I actually don't have the link at this moment. I'm gonna have to go ahead and add the link to the description box after the show. But yeah, go ahead, pop over to Cold Blooded's channel, because that's where you'll be able to catch the CB&J podcast and the Jujutsu Kaisen manga reviews moving forward. So go ahead and check that out. And then Adam Q also asks, what character in a movie or show did you watch get manipulated and outplayed super hard? For me, it was Jake Hoyt from Training Day. Alonzo played. Oh, you mean okay? I mean, you know what? Part of me wants to say there are plenty of examples of this, but I'm having a hard time. I mean, how many movies or shows have like main characters or protagonists has been duped by somebody, right? Um Hell, man. If I'm thinking about shows between, I mean, some of the ones I've reviewed on the channel between Game of Thrones, Sons of Anarchy, Vikings, all of those. Well, I'm trying to remember. I know Flash? Well, of course, that was the whole big thing about season 1 of Flash, right? I'm trying to remember if Arrow ever had one of those. I kind of, but not really. But yeah, there are a lot of examples. I just gave you some, so there you go. Kari McDaniel says, Larry, if I pay you $20 more, will you dance like how you think a Japanese girl would dance to Wink Boys Don't Cry? No, I will not. No, I will not. And I don't even know what that means. What is Don't Cry? I have no clue. I have no clue. Eric Garner says, if you had to pick one anime side character that deserves their own series, who would it be? Well, just off the top of my head, because of course, I gotta think about some of my favorite anime side characters. Sanosuke from Sanosuke Sagara from Rurouni Kenshin. His backstory is definitely interesting enough, and there's enough there to want to like if he had his own series. I don't know if I would make it a present day series, like it would have to be a prequel to the main Rurouni Kenshin series, but like I could totally see him having his own series, because there's definitely there's a lot of material, actually a lot of the Rurouni Kenshin, like between Sanosuke, Saito, Shishio, Shijuro Hiko, all 4 of those characters, like if they could have their own prequel series, prior to the main series, all 4 of them could. Oh man, what am I, dude? Freaking dude. Oh man, what's my boy name? Ayoshi. Ayoshi and the whole Oniwaban group could have their own show. Hell, the Oniwaban group could have their own show even without Ayoshi, but everyone would want to see Ayoshi. But yeah, I mean, that's just off the top of my head. So yeah, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead, not to spend too much time on that question. I'm just going to throw that one out there. Most of the side characters, I think, from Rurouni Kenshin can have their own series. Walter Ting says, "Hey Larry, have you ever been or wanted to experience being on a 0G plane where you are weightless on a plane experiencing no gravity?" Not really. Not really. I like to adhere to the laws of physics, and yeah, if I was in the air, I mean, it's the same thing like being in space, right? Because not only are you elevated, not only are you in the air, but you're also weightless at the same time. Maybe if I trained for it, but not just like casually. Because those 0G planes, aren't those like the space planes? Nah, I think I would want to be actually like properly, trained before I did something like that. So Adam Q, what is your opinion of Wesley Snipes' Blade, and do you believe his performance is underrated? And what did young Larry think of Blade's hairstyle? At times, I think people forgot Snipes was the whole MCU. Well, that predates the MCU, because the MCU didn't exist in '97 when that film came out. The MCU didn't exist before 2008. So there you are. But no, I love Wesley's Blade. I like all those movies with the exception of the third one, because for obvious reasons, the third one wasn't made. It wasn't made as well. It wasn't written as well. Nor was it directed as well. So, but the first one I love. The second one I like as well. Check out I did a commentary of the second one. I think it's still on the channel, or is it on Patreon? I'm trying to remember where the Blade I want to say the Blade 2 commentary is still on the channel, because I don't think I put it on Patreon. I don't think I made it Patreon exclusive. I know the recording of it was Patreon exclusive, but I think that's right. But check the channel. I also reviewed the first Blade as well as part of a Comic Book Hollywood, the old Comic Book Hollywood segment. I reviewed way back when I reviewed it. So yeah, check it out. But no, Wesley was great. And the hairstyle, I like the hairstyle in the first movie. I think they went overboard with it in the later movies, especially, which one was it? Was it the second one where they took too much off of his corners and they hooked that one looked weird. But yeah. Let's see. Brandon Stark says, is it ever hard for you to find something good to watch after you've just finished watching something amazing? I feel like I can't get into any animes anymore. Well, yeah, I mean, that does happen. And when it came to anime, that happened to me for years, a greater part of a decade. But recently, I mean, that hasn't happened recently. I think I've been fortunate enough to where all the stuff I've been checking out, particularly, I mean, since you mentioned anime, like, let's talk about anime specifically. It's like, granted, I still don't watch as much anime as I used to, but the new shows I have managed to get into, it's like each one has been good. Like, I've liked each one I've gotten into. So, like, there hasn't been a lot of like abandonment on my part, because it's like, I guess because I've just been really selective with them. But surprisingly, no, I've liked them all, even the ones that I was reviewing because either a viewer requested it, or it got selected off of the wheel, back when I used to do the request wheel and stuff like that. Even those animes, like, they were still, I still liked them. They were still pretty good, even if I didn't keep up, like, because when I reviewed, I'm trying to remember if it was actually, I don't even think it was off the wheel. I think someone requested it. It was Mononoke, not Princess Mononoke, but there's an anime called Mononoke, and it's a real, like, hyper stylized episodic type of series. And even though I didn't go back to it after the initial after I reviewed that first episode, it was still pretty cool, so yeah. Kari McDonald, do you think Bleach will become more marketable than Naruto/Boruto when Bleach comes back? No. It will. I think at best it will assume the same popularity it had before. Because you got to remember, dude, Bleach was, I mean, for the greater part of the mid to late 2000s, Bleach was the second most popular anime in the States. Like, One Piece finally caught up. But for the longest time, when One Piece was, the big dog globally, even back then in the States, it was still Naruto was number one, Bleach was number two. So, because One Piece didn't finally take that number one spot until around the time I started this channel, like around 2011, 2012. And I still don't think One Piece is more popular than Naruto in the States. I still don't think that's the case. But with Bleach, Bleach has been gone for so long, It did finally eclipse Bleach in terms of popularity, but that's only temporary. Like once Bleach comes back, it's going to reassume its spot. So I think it will be as popular as it was before. I don't think it'll be more popular, and especially won't be as popular. It won't be as popular as the big names now. Like it won't be bigger than My Hero. It won't be bigger than Attack on Titan. It won't be bigger than Demon Slayer. I don't think it will. Kari McDonald, Larry, who was your first anime crush? Ryoko from Tenchi. Adam Q, was it ever explained why Tenchi teacher called Superman? Oh yeah, that's a provider. Well, okay, so it's two things. It's a moniker he received because of how strong he was, but then it became a bravado thing. So he started like using it as like almost like a stage name. Dude, like I said, like one of the things I love about Shijiro Hiko is like how egotistical he is. Like the dude is like if Ric Flair was a samurai, it would be Shijiro Hiko. Because that's the type of dude he is, right? He's like Ric Flair, you know? Also, I pay money to watch the entire Inishi, Saito, Ayoshi, and Kenshin teacher series. Huh? Teacher series? You lost me. Crimson D, what's happening, player? He says, what are some tropes or cliches that you dislike in anime? So the obligatory power up just to beat the enemy, like that is kind of like tired at this point. Like if you're gonna do that, it needs to make sense and it should be properly built up, and it should be properly built up, and I think it should be properly foreshadowed. Like transformations in anime and any story really, these should be payoffs. They shouldn't be scapegoats. You see what I'm saying? A lot of stories will use them as an easy way to just resolve the conflict. They just get a random ass power up. It beats that enemy for that time. It resolves that conflict, and then we just move the fuck on. Dragon Ball got really bad with that. Like DBZ got really bad with that. I think Bleach suffers from that. And I will argue Naruto has. See, Naruto's kind of interesting because Naruto has done it the good way, where it's actually set up and it's foreshadowed and it's built up properly so that when it does happen, it's a payoff. But it has done it as a cheap excuse, as a cheap means just to be able to resolve a conflict too. So that series actually has examples of both, where it's done well and when it's done poorly. Now I can't speak on One Piece because I just heard fucking Gear 5? Luffy just reached Gear 5. I can't speak too much on it. I read about it because apparently it's ridiculous. But like when we are just constantly, just like the issues with power scaling, that's some shit I just don't care for. The parent as the villain, I'm over that. Like I don't need that. I don't care for that. I would even go as far as to say like the parent is responsible. Like the main character didn't just stumble into those circumstances that forced him to be a hero. Like he was going to be one anyway because the parent had something to do with that. Like I heard like Demon Slayer has that issue. Which I was kind of let down by that. I was like, oh, really? Because I always rolled my eyes when like Bleach did it because it didn't make any fucking sense. I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, that's kind of tiresome. Like I'm just kind of like, whatever. So yeah, I mean, there are several I could go through. We'd be here all night. Wesley was never the mascot for Marvel movies. Most people didn't even know Blade was a Marvel property. When that movie first came out, it didn't have the Marvel banner in front of it. That was something they added to the DVDs after Marvel blew up in the films, but that wasn't in the. I still have the original Blade VHS. That's not. They never showed the Marvel. No one knew that was a Marvel movie unless you already knew who the character was. Nobody knew. And I know I was there. I remember when that fucking movie came out because I was too young to watch it. And I had to sneak to watch it because it was rated R. Kari McDonald, Larry, do you think 90s, early 2000s anime is better than modern day anime? If so, why? I'm going to say yes, because I think the writing was more sophisticated and we were on the precipice from a technology standpoint in terms of what we could do with animation. So I think those older series, even the traditionally hand-drawn ones, were way more creative in what they could do visually because we were testing that boundary. A lot of the anime nowadays looks the same. Well, okay, let me put it to you like this. A lot of the anime from the late 2000s looks exactly the same. Once we started integrating CG and shit like that into it, like it all started to look the same. So those are the two things I would say why I think the anime. Oh, here's the other thing too. For as much anime as there was even back in the day, there wasn't nearly as much as there is now, right? Because if you look at all the anime that comes out now, like it's a plethora, right, of anime that comes out now. Back then, studios were more selective of what they greenlit for production. So I think that in a lot of instances, some of the best like manga got adapted back then. I'm not saying all the best, because there's a lot of really good manga that never got an anime adaptation, and that is true. But the ones that did get adaptations, I think more often than not were pretty good. But now there's just so much more of it. So the quality is going to vary. Not everyone is going to be a hit because there's just too fucking many of them now. But yeah, like I said, the writing part and the animation part, I think, is why the earlier anime were better than modern day. But yeah. Travis Tippings, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? Leonardo. Walter Tank, is there a show that you decided not to watch because you rather experience the plot in real life? Fuck no. Real life is fucking boring. What the fuck? No. Larry, when do you plan on finally visiting Japan, and will you try to get yourself one of them Japanese chicks while you're there? Stranger things have happened. Let's see. Let's see. Ooh, interesting. Larry, do you think Ash Ketchum winning the championship at the Orange Islands League, makes up for him losing the Indigo League? And should Pokemon have ended at the end of Orange Islands League? Okay, so here's the thing. Orange Islands is filler. I mean, technically the whole Pokemon series is filler. But what I'm saying is Orange Islands has nothing to do with the games. So him winning the Orange Island Championship was kind of irrelevant because it wasn't a major league. It wasn't, it wasn't a major league. It's not Kanto. or Kanto. Sorry, it's not Kanto. It's not Johto. It's not Hoenn. It's not Shino. You know, it's not one of the main leagues. So didn't really matter. Now, do I think the show should have ended at the end of Orange Islands? I think Ash as a character, I think his story should have ended at the end of Indigo League, because the Pokemon anime pretty much loosely adapts each generation of the video games. That show should have had a new main character for each generation. So by the time we get to Johto, we should have had new characters, like a new main characters, because that's a new character in the game. Same thing with Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5, so on and so forth. Like every new game is a new main character. Ash is supposed to be the anime's adaptation of Red. So that's where they should have kept it. Like that was supposed to be Red. So then once we get to Gold, Silver, we should have a new character. Because they brought in all the other little characters Diamond and Pearl brought in Dawn, right? And then what was it? Gen 3 brought in old girl, I forget her name, and her little brother. So it's like they would bring in characters from the game. The main character should have been different in with every game. Yeah. And I would have preferred it, instead of it being one character traveling the world to all the different regions. Each season just takes place in its own region. You know what I'm saying? Because check this out. How badass would this have been? Well, because the game ended up doing it, right? But how badass would this have been if each season, right? Each generation is a different main character and stuff like that. Pretty much you treat it like Power Rangers, right? Where each season is its own thing. And then, years later, for like the anniversary event or whatever, 10-year anniversary of the anime, 20-year anniversary of the game, whatever, all the main characters team up. How dope would have that been? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, fucking Power Rangers has done it. That would have been dope. That's all I'm saying. That would have been dope. And yeah, the video game ended up doing it with Ultra Sun and Moon, where they had Team Rainbow Rocket, which was the leaders of all the previous villain teams from all the games, all teamed up. Yep. Travis Tippin's best anime soundtrack, Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop. Jakeem, what's happening, Jakeem? He says, thoughts on the playoffs. The Pels fight hard. Bad Zion didn't play any. Well, I'm glad that the Pelicans made it a series. Phoenix had to earn that win. Credit where credit is due, of course. But my Celtics are still in it. I think we got Milwaukee tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow at noon, we got game 1 against Milwaukee. So yeah. But no, thoughts on the playoffs so far. The boys are playing hard. Of course, you got your Zions, you got your Ben Simmons, you got the cats that didn't show, and that's why they ass is home right now. But these boys have been playing hard. I've actually been impressed with the level of play so far. Like there are some, Atlanta, Philly to some degree, haven't really lived up. There was some talk of Chicago, but I mean Dallas, Utah, New Orleans, Phoenix, Milwaukee, Boston, especially. Them boys been playing. Fucking Golden State, them boys been playing hard, son. So I give credit where credit is due. Definitely. Carter McDonald says, everyone, you have until the end of this stream to give Larry $20 to request him to sing your favorite anime song. It could be any song for the Drunken Karaoke. It doesn't have to be an anime song. It could be anyone. Carter Larry, do you have any interest in getting married one day? Do I have any interest in it? I mean, from a legal and financial standpoint, that wouldn't benefit me. There's that. If you really think about it, there actually is no real benefit to being legally married. So, I mean, why would I do that? Just saying. Think about it. What do you really benefit from? What do you get outside of tax breaks? What do you get married that you couldn't get in a long-term relationship with someone? Think about it. Jakeem says a Boston Golden State Warriors finals would be all-time entertainment. Yeah. Yep. Oh, wait. Have you watched Virtual Fighter anime? I think I have. Because I was like, wait a minute, Virtual Fighter Virtual Fighter. I was like, Virtual Fighter has an anime, but then I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute, no, because I think I have seen it. I think I have. Yeah. All right, so we got about. I'm looking at my time now. We got about 18 minutes left in the show. So actually, based off of my discussion earlier, I am actually going to go ahead and bring up that second story I have for you all. I'm pretty sure y'all heard about this one. I am pretty sure y'all heard about this one. And let me. Okay. Let me get mine. Ooh. Yep. I thought that was Spirited Away soundtrack. That's a good soundtrack. Bam. Here we go. Did it pop up? Yeah. Let's talk about this one, guys. Pretty sure y'all have heard about this. Hang on. Let me blow it up. I've actually been meaning to talk about this one for a minute. So yeah. Warner Brothers Discovery exploring overhaul of DC Entertainment. This is about 2 weeks ago. This was on the 14th, but yeah. And let me see. Am I blocking? Yeah, a little bit. Hang on. Let me back up out of it so you guys can read it along with me. Hang on a sec. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm good there. All right. Yeah. Now check this out, guys. Listen to the article now. No, we're not going to listen to it. The new owners of all things Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are exploring an overhaul of DC Entertainment. Multiple sources close to the situation told Variety. It's been less than a week since Discovery closed its $43 billion deal for Warner Media, joining one of the biggest producers in reality programming with one of the most vulnerable. Okay, but interesting term choice there. Okay. Venerable. Okay. Entertainment brands under the new moniker of Warner Brothers Discovery. David David Zaslav, the CEO of the combined companies and top leadership, have been toying with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical. Content vertical, doesn't it mean content vehicle? Okay. Anyway, sources said the move would potentially affect DC feature film development in the Warner Brothers Pictures Group streaming series at Warner Brothers Television and the creative arm within DC proper, all in an effort to have the disparate elements more closely aligned in order to maximize the value of the superhero stable, one often seen as punching up against Marvel. So let me see if it gets into all the details. Oh, this one is short. Yeah, this doesn't get into everything. Huh. This one does not get into everything. All right. Well, I'm okay. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to. I just feel you guys in on what I've been hearing about what's been going on. All right. So I'll get everybody up to speed in case you guys haven't heard about this. So last year, Discovery went ahead and they bought Warner Media from AT&T. The thing is, though, AT&T still does have like an ownership stake in that company, but essentially Discovery is running it like it's their company, right? Like AT&T is more or less like silent investors, right? Well, so now that Discovery owns Warner Media, part of that includes DC and like all of DC, the comics, the television, the film, the merchandise, like they own all of it now. So a couple of weeks ago, what happened was, well, of course, when this happened, everybody expected, it's like, okay, well, it's not so much a merger. I mean, on paper, it's a merger because, like I said, the way the ownership stake pans out, but in actuality, Discovery's taking over Warner. So no, it is a takeover. And since it is a takeover, since it is a business acquisition, that means that Discovery is going to want to come in and put in their own personnel. So everybody was kind of anticipating that. Well, a couple of weeks ago, it finally happened. Pretty much, and if memory serves what I remember hearing, so pretty much all of the execs at Warner Brothers, except for Toby Emmerich, he's the only one that's still there. All the other ones are gone now. All of them are gone. And that includes people. I forget the guy's name, but he was the one that actually championed the Snyder Cut. He was the one that got the Snyder Cut greenlit. He's gone, right? Of course, Walter Hamada's gone. And then Sarnoff, was that old girl's name? Yeah, she's gone too, right? So they're getting ready to pretty much put in all, their new execs over at Warner's. And then David Zaslav, who is now, head of it all, he mentioned that he wanted to pretty much overhaul DC to make it operate and function more like Marvel Studios does. Because contrary to what Warner Brothers has always said about because what was it called before? Was it called DC Films? I think is what it was called. Well, DC Films was never really its own entity. Not really. Like it was still Warner Brothers. You know what I mean? It's like it never had the type of autonomy that Marvel Studios does, and of course, one of the biggest issues with Marvel Studios ever since Disney took them over proper is that they've been having less and less autonomy over the years. Like they've been losing it. I mean, fucking Marvel Studios has pretty much been losing autonomy since Phase 2, right? But that the point still remains. Like DC never really was set up like Marvel Studios. So yeah, so Zaslav said it's like, yeah, like he wants it to be able to operate as a legit studio on its own. And the other thing he talked about doing was putting the film and television divisions of DC under the same roof. Because one of the crazy things about DC television productions, those things are all over the place. You got some show keep this in mind, especially when it comes to like the CW shows and shit like that. Those are all like, they got the same producers. Some of them have the same writers. This is that and the third, but they're all different productions. Some of them are considered Warner Brothers productions. Some of them are considered CBS productions because the CW is a shared network between CBS and Warner Brothers. That's where the name comes from. CBS, Warner Brothers, CW. And then like with some of the shows that they have streaming, remember like the original DC Universe, right? When DC Universe was the original streaming platform for DC, right? That's where you had like Titans and Doom Patrol and Stargirl and Swamp Thing and the Harley Quinn animated series. Like that was still a different house than the ones that are running HBO Max. So Zaslav wants to be able to consolidate all of that into one house because, funny enough, that's what Marvel Studios is doing now. Because notice all of those shows that have been coming to Disney Plus, those have all been Marvel Studio productions, whereas before, even Marvel Television was its own separate entity. Because that's where the Netflix shows came from. That's where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came from. That's where the Runaways on Hulu came from. That's where Cloak and Dagger that was on Freeform, that's where that came from. So it was all, separate, decentralized. It was all decentralized. So Zaslav was talking about doing that. And then one of the other things he brought up, which had a lot of people chirping, was he's looking for a head of studio to run the new DC studio, right? So, essentially, he's looking for his Kevin Feige. Now, of course, a lot of people started speculating, okay, well, who would that be, right? So a lot of people started throwing out names, this is that and the other. I'll be honest with you. I'm one of the people, I'm of the mindset, it should not be a creative. If it's going to be the studio head, it should be an exec. It should be a business person. It should be someone who's smart enough to realize, no, let me hire the creatives to make the work instead of trying to be the one trying to make all the work. Like instead of me, because I'm creative in my own right, I want to make sure that everything that comes out of the studio bears my mark in some way. Instead of being that type of the guy, no, have him be the one who's smart enough to know, no, let me just hire the people who can do that for me. I want one of those guys. I don't want one of the others, because one of the others is how we've been getting the shit that we've been getting out of DC since fucking Man of Steel. So yeah, that's where I'm at on it. What executive could it be? Couldn't tell you, because I can't think of one. I can't think of one that would actually take that fucking job. And I can't think of one that I would want to see leave the position they're in now to go and do that job. So, because when I was thinking of who could run the studio, everyone I kept thinking of was a creative. And I'm trying to think of like a business cat that I would rather, that I'd like to see do it, but I can't think of one that I'd be willing to have them leave the business they're running now to go and do that. Nah, can't think of one. So, of course, if it was going to be creative, one of mine, one of the ones I brought up was Stephen DeKnight. He was the first name I thought of. I thought of him. I thought of Brian Fuller. Yeah, they were two of the first names I thought of. But again, they're creatives, and I'm like, I don't think I want a creative running that fucking studio. So, I mean, dude, if in a perfect world, I would have loved if it was Dwayne McDuffie. You know what? Oh no, but I just thought of Reginald Hudlin. but he's a he okay. No, though, but Reg is a creative, but he's a creative in the same way like a Jerry Bruckheimer is, though. Hudlin might be a good choice. Now that I say that, yeah, he might be a good choice. Yeah, but I don't think he'd do it. That's the thing. Well, maybe because he was one of the big guys when Milestone was still a thing, and he was one of the guys responsible for getting Milestone. Him working with McDuffie and the rest of the guys there that was able to get it the spotlight that it got. Maybe. Let me see. What is he doing right now? Let me see what he's doing right now. Let me see. What is Reginald Hudlin doing right now? I mean, because he ran BET for a while. What is he doing right now? Looks like he's directing right now. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's directing right now. Yeah. But again, yeah, no, but Reg is a creative though. He's not a exec guy. Not in the traditional sense, He is a producer, but he's not a yeah. He wouldn't be a bad choice though. Hudlin would definitely be a good choice. Yeah. But anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and give my thoughts on that because a lot of people are talking, a lot of fans are talking about like, oh, this might finally be, the turn tide, for DC, for DC Entertainment. Just because, I mean, dude, that company, dude, because me and my girl were talking about this the other day, because I was trying to, yesterday actually, because I was trying to explain to her how, one of the frustrating things, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of a good thing, but it's frustrating about it too. DC has never been even keel across all of its entertainment sectors. So when it comes to the comics, the animation, the television, live action television productions, and then the film productions, there has never been a point when all four of those sectors have been Gucci, right? It's always either one is good or two are good and the other two are bad, or it was always give or take. You know what I'm saying? Like it was never just across the board everything was fucking good. No. And the thing is, it's like, and just going down that list, right? Like the animation, in my opinion, hasn't been good since they started up the New 52 fucking original film. So we're talking what, 2015? When was Justice League War? Ever since Justice League War, it's like, yeah, that's when like the animated films fell off, and those used to be fucking amazing. And then the television, because we had Smallville for 10 years, and for the most part, that's all it was until Arrow came in, because Arrow's what, 2013. Well, the CW verse, I mean, dude, by Flash season 2 and Arrow season 4, that shit was already in the crapper. And then of course, even with the other one, like Gotham was never fucking good. Um, and then some of the CW shows that, Constantine got canceled. Lucifer ended up going to Netflix, and that's kind of its own thing and really has nothing to do with fucking DC. And then with the CW shows that followed, they were never as good. So the television's been off. And then the movies, we know the majority of those have been trashed. The only real good ones, I would say, in the last decade have been Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Joker. The Suicide Squad was okay, but nothing really to write home about. I mean, it's kind of pretty much what I expected it to be. It was fine, but that's pretty much been it. Just those four. Well, I haven't seen Shazam, so I can't comment on Shazam, but and then of those four, only two of them have been legitimate hits because over $1 billion a piece. Aquaman and Joker. I mean, even the Batman was fine, but that was Batman, and it still didn't beat Joker and Aquaman. Didn't even come close. The Batman grossed less than BVS did in theaters. That's pretty fucking bad. So there's that. I mean, and then the comics are always cyclic, but 2012 was New 52, that was trash. Rebirth was in 2016, and then that's when they finally got good again. But then by 2020, that's when they were gearing up for Future State, and we know that was trash. So, well, now we've crossed the hour. I'm kind of done with the DC rant. Let me go ahead, see about the last. Do we have any other questions that I hadn't already gone to? Adam Q, I remember a long time ago in your favorite TV shows revisited, you mentioned you liked the show Moonshiners. What did you find most interesting about the history of bourbon? Just how they discovered it. How they discovered it, and how a lot of distillers, like the certain things distillers will do to change up their recipes. And then also, of course, how Kentucky bourbon is made. It's Kentucky bourbon and Tennessee whiskey have a very interesting shared history. And the distinctions between the two and how they're made is very interesting. It's very interesting. Then Frost, what's happening? Says, hey there, Larry, do you think they will scrap the Schneiderverse and just start all over? Everything I have heard and everything I have read is leading to that. Schneiderverse is over. And from what I'm hearing, the Flash movie, which is essentially Flashpoint, is going to do for the live action movies what Flashpoint did for the comics. It's supposed to be the reset. And then all the films to follow are going to be like the new era of like the new DC movies. I was told like I have sources and shit. I don't have inside sources. I get my sources the same way everybody else gets theirs. I get my news the same way everybody else gets theirs. But from what I read, that's one of the main reasons why the Flash was pushed back. Was to set the groundwork for that, because this Aquaman, like that's it. Like this is going to be the last one. Like this. Shazam, what is it? Fury of the Gods is supposed to be like a cap movie, like an ending movie, right? A conclusion, if you will. Black Adam is meant. Well, Black Adam is a prequel and it's meant to be a standalone, because eventually they're going to do Black Adam versus Shazam. But like when we revisit Shazam, like after the Flashpoint, it's going to be like the new Shazam. It's going to be like a new status quo for Shazam. And then that's when they'll finally do, Black Adam as the villain in that. So that's what I heard, is that it's supposed to be, yeah. All right. And then Kari McDonald says, Larry, will you send the link to the karaoke Discord? So it won't be on Discord. We're actually going to do, I'm going to be doing it on StreamYard. Yeah, I won't. Oh, yeah. It won't be on Discord. It'll be on StreamYard. But yes, Kari, I will send you the link. I will send you the link. I will send it to you on Patreon because I know you're a patron. I'll send it to you on Patreon. So check your Patreon inbox. And then our other two guests for the karaoke night, they're not in the chat. And I never did get their email addresses. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to get those guys in here. I do still have their requests because I remember one of them was Smile Bomb and the other one was some song I never heard of before. But I will go back to the last stream, and hit up the comments and get that one. But yeah, so yeah, it's 9:15. So yeah, we need to go ahead and wrap this up so we can get the drunken karaoke popping. I'm thinking, Kari, we're gonna do 10. So like in about 45 minutes, we'll get on and we'll finally do the drunken karaoke. For those of you all who you see, I'm already tongue-tied, tripping over my words and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead after the show. We're gonna go ahead and record that. That will be available. I'm gonna post the link because again, I can't post it on YouTube for copyright reasons, but I will post the link to the Google Drive because I'm gonna put it on Google Drive. I'll post a link to where you all can watch it after we record it. I'll probably post that sometime like later in the week. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that. All right, so it is time for me to get out of here. Want to thank everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks everyone for tuning in live. Thanks everyone for watching after the fact. As always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media, facebook.com/OAW Entertainment, twitter.com/OAWENTMT, twitch.tv/OAW _entertainment, right here on youtube.com/OAW Entertainment. And last but certainly not least, if you have yet to do so, become a patron. I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. Actually, no, let's do that one. Become a patron at patreon.com/OAW. I have multiple tiers available. Select the one best fitting for you. And all patrons at the $10 or higher tier, you get an invite to join in on this show. And as my man Kari mentioned, with the OAW Discord, become a patron, you get access to the OAW Discord server. So once again, that is patreon.com/OAW. Now, what to keep an eye out for coming up? I still think, you know what? I'm not gonna announce what's coming, unless I already did in the previous show, which I don't think I did. I'm not going to formally announce what's coming just yet, but I will be back next week because I think I will finally do it next week. I'll be back next week with something new, maybe something a little familiar for some of my OGs on the channel. But yeah. But with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I am signing off, and until next time, peace.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?